Thank you very much. My name is Lydia Olet, representing for Greenwich TV, your humble host as usual. Wow, today I have these two lovely people here with me. Yes, from Little Fish Theatre Company. So tell me more about yourself. Introduce yourself, please.
My name's Alex Cook. I'm one of the artistic directors. Suhar is the other artistic director. We share our roles. We write, we devise, and we produce theatre for young people. High quality theatre that really tries to engage young people. Difficult, hard to reach young people who've had difficult lives. We try to engage them in the theatre because we believe that it's really important that theatre as an art form continues and that the young audience really start to understand what theatre is about and they enjoy it. And a lot of our audience have never seen theatre before. They may have seen a pantomime or they may have seen a school trip of Shakespeare, but they've never seen a piece of theatre which is about their lives. And so what we try to do is we try to create high quality theatre which are about issues which are relevant to the young people in Greenwich.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes,
so I'm Suhar, the other director. I started up Little Fish with Alex in 2008. Before Little Fish, we had a company called Big Fish, and Alex was one of the original founders of Big Fish. So we've been around in Greenwich for quite a long time now. I started off with Big Fish as an actor, and then moved on to delivering workshops with specific groups of young people, mainly young offenders and young people going through the transition from primary to secondary school. So we do lots of theatre work with different age groups, looking at different types of issues, and we take our skills in drama workshops out to young people as well and work with them that way. But yeah, we've been working together for a number of years.
Okay. That's interesting. You saying Big Fish and then Little Fish.
That's right.
So what is all this with fish business? What is all this?
Well, a very, very long time ago, very, very long time ago, I left university, having done a degree in community theatre, and I worked for a project in Woolwich called the Hot Orange. It was called the Hot Orange a long time ago. And then that project finished, and when it finished, I needed a new name, and I thought that's a very good idea. Take a adjective and a noun and put it together. So then with my other, at the time, a different artistic director, Kate Holden, we created Big Fish. And then Kate Holden left Big Fish to move to Plymouth, and she took Big Fish with her. And then Little Fish stayed in London to service all the projects that already existed. And so it went from Big Fish to Little Fish.
To Little Fish. I hope you won't have small. That's interesting. So from 2008, since it started, you've been part of it.
Yes.
And have you seen improvement since then? Big improvement? Have you?
Yeah. Well, I was around when we were Big Fish as well.
Yes.
And through when we became Little Fish, and obviously the times have changed in terms of funding and that kind of thing. There has been changes, but we've being two of us that run the company, we work with lots of freelance actors and workshop leaders, so we mainly have people that come and work with us contract by contract, which means we're responsible for running the company together and finding the right kind of funding for the projects, which has changed because the climate of funding has changed quite a lot. So now we're funding this differently, but we're still delivering what we feel is high quality theatre experiences for young people, which is like our mission statement. You know, that's what we do.
I actually heard about you Little Fish, through Her Centre and Triangle as well. And it's amazing because I was thinking Her Centre, what they do and what Triangle does is kind of similar, but it's totally different from what you guys do. So when they told me that they work in partnership with Little Fish, I was like, how does that come in? So what do you contribute to Her Centre and Triangle?
We're in a consortium partnership with Triangle and Her Centre, so there's 3 organisations including ourselves, and the reason this project works very well is that we do very different things within it. Our main focus within this project, which is called New Leaf, is to reach thousands of young people across Greenwich with a theatre production and workshop looking at some very sensitive issues around abuse, domestic violence, and looking at the current trends of young people and what's happening in the borough and across London, taking those issues and creating a piece of theatre that we can, that's valuable for the schools. So our element is very theatre based. We also run workshops alongside that, where we support young women and young men in small groups who have been identified as needing that support. Whereas Her Centre and Triangle are more around counselling services and supporting specific male groups or female groups. So each year we have a different theatre piece, but all looking at very similar issues around what people need to do to think about having a healthy relationship and what's not healthy. And it also incorporates laws around young people filming things on mobile phones, the laws around what's acceptable behaviour and not acceptable behaviour within relationships, and just encouraging young people in Greenwich and other boroughs as young as possible how to learn about the first signs of abuse in a relationship.
So that's healthy and unhealthy relationship. For them to know what the signs of healthy and unhealthy relationship.
Absolutely.
And if they can come out early, that would be good.
Yes.
So what you're doing is like you're trying to put it in their minds before it happens.
Yes,
so
it's early intervention.
Before it happens.
It's preventative.
Before it happens, and if it is happening to them, that they can identify what that actually is and what they can do about it and where they can get help.
And so we have the relationship with the schools, so it means that when we approach schools, they know who we are as a company. They trust us because they've had our productions before. Our productions tend to look at quite difficult subject areas. They know they will be looked at in a sensitive and safe way, but they also know that we will have the other partners around that we can refer young women or young men onto, so that they will be supported. So when we don't go into a school, raise a lot of issues, and then expect the teachers to clear up and deal with it, we have partner organisations to support. So we have high quality theatre, which may touch some young people very deeply, but then we have the support agencies to make sure the referrals go on to the proper services and everything is followed up.
Okay. Do you normally choose your schools? Is it like, we have like some social services referral schools, or special needs school, or just a normal school? So how do you choose your schools? How do you decide, okay, let's go to this school to deliver a workshop, this school?
We have some quite long-standing relationships with lots of schools in Greenwich. So we have certain schools who know our work, who will always, when we contact them, will always want to book our work in. But we always make sure we try and do is reach the schools, the pupil referral units, the schools that social services or the council feel, because there are outside mainstream education provisions in Greenwich for young people. And sometimes the buildings that they're in aren't very big, for example, but we try and make sure that our theatre can be toured into any space, and if it means we don't have a theatre set, then that's fine, we'll go into other provisions. So sometimes we're performing in a mainstream school to 300 children in one performance, and sometimes 5 or 6 in a smaller provision, with more
it depends on the
staff.
space.
So we make sure that we mail out to all the schools, so everyone has an equal opportunity to book the performances in. But usually once they've had us and they know what it's all about, it's very easy to get those bookings. And when schools don't know us, we continue to contact them and make sure that they've got the same opportunities.
So you actually write mail to all the schools. You don't choose specifically. So it's their school's decision that I think we need them in our school.
Yes, and sometimes what happens is that we are approached by the police or by community safety, or by there is information given down from a Marek or from the steering group for the New Leaf project, and then we will approach the contact within the school, and it will be arranged through the contact in the school. For example, at the Her Centre's last annual general meeting, an academy came to us with a specific problem, and as a result of us meeting them at the AGM, we were able to go in and provide a series of an emergency response to a, 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 sexually assaulting young women, but they didn't see it within those terms. But that within the terms of the law, that's what's happening. And it got very, very serious. I mean, the police were already involved, and what we were trying to do was provide education and support, so they could understand what was happening, what they're doing.
Right. And I think what you just said now is a lot of people, even though they do things to others, abuse others, sometimes they don't even know that what they're doing is wrong. And that's why I admire what Triangle is doing, because they're working with those people. So what you said now, that they were abusing the women, but yet they didn't even know what they were doing. So if you step in and you kind of educate them that this is actually wrong.
We're not going to sort these problems out if we're just supporting the victims. We have to make sure we're supporting change within them.
Yeah, because that's how change comes. Yeah. Because if you just support the victim, and then they will still go and do it again to just carry on. Yeah. So I think that's interesting. So as you say as well, if somebody was to call you and say, "Oh, I want your group to come in with this this is what I want." Like, I want you to talk about a topic. I want you to do a topic about this problem or this problem or this problem. Are you normally prepared for all those occasions, or?
It depends. I mean, we are funded to do particular projects. So if they ring us up and say they wish to do something with healthy relationships, or they wish it's a primary school and they are concerned about their year sixes, which is top end of primary school, going into secondary school, then we're funded to do those projects. If they came to us and they said, for example, we are worried, we're a university and we're worried about violent extremism, we would say, yes, we can do something about that, but we would have to research and develop something from scratch, which we're not funded to do. Have you got funds to do that? If you have, then yes, that can happen. If you haven't, we can talk about the possibility of fundraising for that. But what we tend to do is we tend to fundraise with partners that we have a long-standing relationship with, rather than people who just want us to do a particular project because they have a sudden need. So we do a lot of partnership work with Her Centre, with Charlton Athletic Community Trust, and also do work with Triangle as well, because they're established partners that we've worked with before.
For a long
time.
Now about your actors, I know I was asking this before. Do you normally get your actors from the projects, or you have your own actors that come in and act with you guys? How do you get your actors?
When we go into schools, our actors need to be experienced, authentic, good actors, but they also need to be very strong workshop facilitators. And also, because they're touring and there's health and safety around that, we need to make sure our actors are over the age of 18, because their responsibility out on tour is huge, really. But also they're educating as well as acting through the projects that we run with them. So our actors can be young, but they need to be over the age of 18. And normally over the age of 18 they can play very young, which is good for us because they can realistically play young people. We don't have a youth theatre or a space that we work with young people outside of school or outside of wherever we tour, but we do encourage young people to join other theatre companies that do run those kind of services. And if people are, occasionally we meet young people who are really serious about going into acting and very keen to work with us, and they might contact us. So what we tend to do is encourage them to get as much experience as possible and some training, and then maybe audition for us when they're over the age of 18, and
see where it goes.
See where it goes that way. But no, we don't have young people who are under 18 coming to us and coming into all of us because of the responsibility of the work that we do. And
for us, it's also, as we keep on saying, it's really about trying to produce the highest quality theatre for young people, and though that means we have to work with the very best writers, the very best directors, and the very best actors. And I think it's a very big ask of a 16, 17-year-old who's never acted. I don't think it's impossible, but it's a big ask. And you don't want to set them up to fail. So it's about giving them as much support as possible so they can then later come back and work with us.
And also it's quite hard in a school setting for our actors sometimes, without a workshop leader, they do everything together a lot of the time, to be in front of 200 young people. So if they were of a similar age, or that would be quite difficult.
Tricky,
and especially if they're going to school where they know people, which is quite likely as well sometimes. So to have that age distance will give our actors that respect when they're trying to coordinate so many young people as well.
Okay. I know before when you were speaking, you told me about how many children have you worked with, the youth in Greenwich Borough? It was quite a big number.
It depends on our project, but over the last maybe year, we've probably worked with around 3,000.
Wow, that's a big number.
Yeah.
And some of those will be through audience, just huge, large audiences. And some of them will be through very intensive group work. So our outreach program may work with, we might have one group of 12 young women that we will work with for maybe 24 hours over a 6-week period. So that's quite intensive. And then sometimes it's just young people coming to a show and then doing a workshop afterwards, and there'll be larger areas. What's the largest audience?
Probably around 200.
And sometimes you take it to the tram shed, which is a theatre space in Woolwich. So, and that's a really good opportunity to get the out of school projects, so the full circles, the right choice projects, the really difficult to reach young people that have been excluded from mainstream. We invite them into the tram shed, so they get to see high quality theatre in a theatre space, because a lot of those kinds of spaces, as Suha said earlier, can't always receive a full set. So we try to get them into a theatre space so they can experience it in the best possible way. Absolutely.
Okay. I wanted to ask you this, but I know you kind of mentioned it. No, it's fine. You kind of mentioned it. I wanted to ask you, who writes the scripts? But I know you said you work with good writers.
Well, various people write scripts. Sometimes a script is devised, which means that the actors will improvise around ideas and a story will develop.
Yes.
That happens sometimes from a primary school show. Secondary school shows, we've had Ricky Beadle-Blair has written a play for us in the past. Rachel McGill has also written another piece for us around sexual grooming. But we now have taken on the role of writers as well.
Okay.
So Suha is currently developing our Autumn 215 piece, which is a working title, Twister. And I'll let her tell you what it is about.
So our new piece, which I've just finished the first draft of, is looking at a lot of the issues we've already talked about around relationships, healthy and unhealthy relationships. But this one is very different. It's focusing much more on how young people are using social media and technology to lead how they run their lives. If that makes sense. So all the pressures of technology, all the obsessions with technology, and how to form online relationships and offline relationships and that kind of thing. And also just our obsession around mobile phones and computers and that sort of thing impacting on relationships and whether that's a negative or positive thing. But it's also looking very clearly at everyday sexism, pornography, the power of men in pornography and the impact on women. It's looking at filming images, whether we have the right or don't have the right to take a photo of something, upload it online, where do we draw the line on what's appropriate and not appropriate and how it affects us really. So it's very much about technology. So it's also very important to know that when we're devising our theatre work or writing the plays that we produce and take on tour, that the subject matter is very much fed in through the young people we work with on a daily basis. So if we're working with a group who's identified with us that there are problems around videoing mobile phone images, or people are being passed pornographic images, or whatever the situation might be, we take into account that those are important issues at the moment that we need to address. So we don't just choose to write a play about a subject that we feel like writing about. We choose to put in the things that we know are really important at the moment, and hopefully by doing that there'll be an impact for young people experiencing those things, and they'll be relevant to their lives.
And when we're in development, so we might have a rehearsed reading of a play that's not quite finished, we invite young people in and then we ask for their response. So we get to see what we need to change to make it more impactful.
So you do a research first with the community,
a consultation.
Before you decide what you want to do, and that's really important because they
really
feel involved.
important, because they have an ownership of it.
Yes.
It also means that we know it's right, and that's really important when we get feedback from teachers who say, "Oh, I'm not." It felt very very harsh. I was a bit worried. It felt very emotional, and then we can say, "Yes, it did," and that was a deliberate choice because that's what the young people told us at the rehearsed reading or at the scratch pad performance. So it also makes us feel secure that we're making the right decision. It's not we're not deciding it. It's also decided by them.
And also, for example, next week I'm going into a group that's run by somebody that works at the Hair Centre to do some research with a group of young people around exactly what kind of websites they're using, how they're chatting to people online, and to really find out what exactly what's happening at the moment. Because we're older, we don't use technology in the same way, so that's going to be really useful for us. And what's really great is the young people love to be involved and tell you about what's going on, and so they get a lot out of it. So when we take the place to them, they'll feel that they were a big part of the process.
I think they like to be valued, because what I've seen now, and working with the youth as well, because we work with the youth a lot, is nobody listens to them. It's just do I say. People don't really listen to them. They're trying to explain something that no, but you did it, you did that, and they kind of then they now go into a corner of just doing their own things, because if you don't want to listen to me, then you understand.
I won't talk to you.
I won't talk to you. But when you do what you're doing, then they feel valued,
Yes,
and
that's
they
right.
feel like that actually the ideas is being taken into practice. So I think that is very important. So well done for that. Well done for that. So are you self-funded? How do you fund yourself?
We're funded by different funding bodies. So we have some funding through Charlton Athletic Community Trust, working in Greenwich with the Universal Youth Service. We have most of our funding from the lottery and Comic Relief. Those are quite big projects for us. We also get Arts Council funding, and that's for our writing, mainly for our writing and our theatre tours. So we survive by having funding from different organisations.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. So before we wind up, is there anything else you want to add that we didn't speak about, we didn't talk about, or we didn't say, or you want the community to know about? Is there anything else you want to add?
Just if you would like any more information about what we do, or you're a teacher or a professional out there as well, and you might be interested in our work coming into your organisation, you can like us on Facebook, Little Fish Theatre CIC, or on Twitter.
Little Fish Theatre.
Little Fish Theatre again on Twitter, and we'd be happy to speak to anybody that wants more information about us, really.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Do you have any phone numbers or?
Yes, we do. Our
Email address?
website is, which has all our information on, is littlefishtheatre.co.uk. And our phone number, this is a test, is 0208 269 1123. That's correct.
Well done. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching Greenwich TV. Until next time, take care of yourself, and thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you for your hospitality. And I actually had a cup of tea. Well done. Thank you very much.